Archaeologists have marveled at Peru's ancient line drawing.
It was also one of the last cities to be walked away from. So you get the impression that whatever happened that compelled people to walk away from the city.
When we think of the vastness of the Earth, it makes sense that not all of its secrets have been discovered yet, right? This is why archaeologists have just uncovered a hidden civilization buried deep in the desert sands.
To reveal the hidden city that is 1,000 years old and over 280 feet deep.
Thanks to the help of artificial intelligence. So join me as I take a more in-depth look at this discovery. Number 1. Ancient civilization found in Nazca Desert by AI. Archaeologists in Peru have made an amazing discovery with the help of artificial intelligence. They found 303 new giant symbols carved into the Nazca Desert. These carvings show a mix of design, including birds, plants, spiders, and even an orca wielding a knife. This incredible find nearly doubles the number of known Nazca geoglyphs, which are believed to be around 2,000 years old. The Nazca lines and geoglyphs are some of the most impressive archaeological sites in the world. They offer a look into the magical and religious world of ancient pre-Hispanic societies that thrived on the Peruvian coast between the 8th century BC and the 8th century AD. This area, which covers about 7,358 hectares, is home to thousands of large-scale figures and precise geometric lines carved into the dry ground.
For over a century, archaeologists have marveled at Peru's ancient line drawings. Now, a breakthrough approach is rewriting what we thought we knew.
These symbols represent a rich cultural landscape that highlights a common religion and social unity that lasted for centuries. Located about 50 kilometers inland from the southern coast of Peru, these massive symbols have stood the test of time, and it is all thanks to the desert's dry conditions and low population. The area has also been largely untouched by flooding. This is what allowed the ancient carvings to remain intact since their discovery in the early 20th century. In recent years, advancements in high-resolution imaging have significantly boosted the discovery of new geoglyphs, with an average of 19 found each year from 2000 to 2020. Like and subscribe right now, and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week. But the game changed when researchers began using AI. A team led by Masato Sakai from Yamagata University in Japan trained an AI model using high-resolution images of 430 known Nazca symbols. Collaborating with experts from IBM, they faced the challenge of making the most of their limited training data. The team focused on smaller, more detailed symbols that are about 9 meters long. These are harder to find than the larger geoglyphs, which can be as long as 90 meters. The AI identified over 47,000 possible sites in the desert. After careful review, the team narrowed it down to 309 promising locations. Thanks to the AI, they discovered 178 new geoglyphs, and an additional 125 were found during their fieldwork. Of course, the AI wasn't perfect. Only 1 in 36 suggestions turned out to be a solid lead. As for the meaning behind these Nazca symbols, it's still a bit of a mystery. Some researchers believe they served as sacred spaces or pilgrimage sites, while others think they might be linked to calendars or ceremonies. The new discoveries provide interesting insights. The larger symbols usually show animals and plants, while the smaller ones seem to be connected to human activities, suggesting rituals or even human sacrifice. The team also found pathways leading to the geoglyphs, indicating they might have been used for communal gatherings or rituals. And the story doesn't stop here. Scientists have many other ways they plan to use AI for new discoveries. Stay tuned. Who knows what the future holds? Number 2. Ancient Mayans. The Mayan presence in Central America goes back thousands of years. However, archaeologists often say their true beginnings started during the pre-classic period around 1800 BC. This was when hunters and gatherers finally decided to settle down and build permanent homes. The ancient Mayan Empire was full of amazing achievements. However, life wasn't perfect.
It was also one of the last cities to be walked away from. So you get the impression that whatever happened that compelled people to walk away from the cities, Tikal was the last one to do it.
They also practiced human sacrifice and fought wars among themselves. Internal conflicts, droughts, and the Spanish conquest in the 16th century resulted in the decline of this civilization. Although the ancient Maya civilization ended, the Mayan people themselves did not disappear. Millions of their descendants still live today and continue to speak several Mayan languages. Number 3. The Olmec civilization. The Olmecs were the first major civilization in Mesoamerica, and their culture was as fascinating as it was strange. They thrived from about 1200 to 400 BC and are famous for their impressive pyramid-like temples and huge stone heads. Some of these heads are as tall as 3 meters, 10 feet, and weigh 8 tons. Despite their remarkable achievements, not much is known about them. We don't even know what they called themselves. Olmec is a name given by the Aztecs centuries later, which means rubber people. They seem to have disappeared around 400 BC, and some believe the humid Mesoamerican climate may have eroded any remains. Unfortunately, we're left with more questions than answers about their language and culture, especially why they vanished. Number 4. The Persian Empire, the first superpower. The Persian Empire was built by powerful kings, starting with Cyrus II, who set the stage for conquering new lands. From 550 BC to 331 BC, the Persians built the largest empire in ancient history. This empire included areas such as Egypt, Iran, Turkey, northern India, and parts of Pakistan and Afghanistan. They left behind stunning ruins, beautiful metalwork, and gold treasures. Cyrus II practiced Zoroastrianism, one of the oldest religions still in use today, and he treated his defeated enemies with respect. Darius I is known for building the Royal Road, a 400-kilometer network of paved roads that improved communication and control across the empire. However, this same infrastructure contributed to their downfall. Alexander the Great from Macedonia used these roads to conquer Persia, which was weakened by internal revolts. Despite facing strong resistance, he defeated the Persians, ending their long reign. Number 5. Lost City of Atlantis. Atlantis is a famous city that supposedly sank beneath the water and took with it a great civilization. But did it really exist? Many scientists and archaeologists believe that the story of Atlantis
To me, it just doesn't bear the marks of pure fiction.
is just a legend. Plato, who lived around 360 BC, shared tales of this mythical city. He described it as a civilization created by semi-divine beings that had an ideal society. Atlantis was said to be a powerful maritime center, with islands linked by canals and rich in precious metals and exotic wildlife. Plato claimed Atlantis existed about 9,000 years before his time, and his writings are the only known records of this lost city. So, what do you think? Is the lost city of Atlantis real or just a story? Number 6. The Minoan civilization. The Minoans were a Bronze Age civilization that thrived between 3000 and 1000 BC. The Minoans lived lively pagan lives. They celebrated with animal sacrifices, special gifts, and fun festivals filled with singing and dancing. Their influence stretched far and wide, even catching the attention of the ancient Egyptians, who mentioned them in their hieroglyphics. But just like any other charming story, their tale took a dark turn. Some theories suggest that a huge eruption on the nearby Santorini Islands caused massive waves, ash, and debris to hit Crete. Others, like the historian Herodotus, mentioned plagues that might have hurt their population. However, the truth is still unclear because Herodotus wrote about this long after the Minoans had disappeared. Their sudden decline leaves us with more questions than answers. Number 7. Indus Valley Civilization. In the 1920s, someone found some old-looking artifacts near the Indus River. This single discovery led to the reveal of the surprisingly large Indus Valley Civilization. The civilization covered 1.25 million square kilometers and included around 1,000 settlements in what is now Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan. Usually, in big societies, you'd expect to find signs of conflict, but archaeologists found no evidence of war. There were no broken bones, burnt buildings, or signs that the Indus people attacked their neighbors. Interestingly, there was also no evidence of inequality among the people. For 700 years, the civilization thrived without weapons or defensive walls. They had plenty of food, spacious cities, and modern streets with drainage systems that kept everything clean. However, in the end, a mix of invaders from Central Asia and climate change led to the decline of the Indus culture. Number 8. Ancient Egypt. Prehistoric humans discovered the Nile and apparently liked what they saw. Maybe this is why they settled along its banks. Ancient Egyptians were famous for their pyramids, mummies, and pharaohs, but they also had unique art and a rich mythology. However, ancient Egypt didn't fade away overnight. It gradually fell apart, starting with wars that weakened its defenses. Invasions eroded its culture, with the Assyrians damaging its military and economy, and Greek letters replacing hieroglyphics. The Romans ended the pharaoh's reign, and by 640 AD, the Arabs took over, leading to Arabic replacing the Egyptian language by the 16th century. Number 9. Derinkuyu, the underground city. In 1963, a Turkish homeowner made an unexpected discovery when his chickens started disappearing. Curious, he knocked down a wall in his house and uncovered a hidden tunnel system. This amazing underground labyrinth is Derinkuyu. It stretches across 8 levels and goes down over 85 meters deep. It dates back to the 7th century BC.
To reveal the hidden city that is 1,000 years old and over 280 feet deep.
But why was this underground city created? Some believe it served as a refuge for various groups escaping conflict and persecution throughout history. Derinkuyu was inhabited continuously until the 1920s and provided shelter for many people, with the Cappadocian Greeks being the last residents. However, in 1923, Turkey expelled its Christian population, which led to the city's abandonment. Number 10. Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, meaning land between rivers in ancient Greek, was a region where several cultures thrived. They succeeded thanks to the fertile lands of Southwest Asia and the Eastern Mediterranean. The first settlers arrived around 14,000 BC. Here, they found a perfect home between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Despite a number of invasions, the rich soil allowed its inhabitants to innovate. This led to significant advancements like timekeeping, the wheel, mathematics, and writing. Mesopotamia changed hands many times, from the Babylonians to the Hittites. It developed a unique culture that included cuneiform writing on clay tablets. Ultimately, the Persians seized Mesopotamia in 539 BC, marking the end of this chapter in history. Number 11. Hellenistic Empire. In 336 BC, Alexander the Great took the reins of Macedonia and, in just 13 years, built an empire stretching from Greece to India. This period, known as the Hellenistic Age, saw Greek culture and ideas spreading far and wide. Macedonia rose to power under King Philip II thanks to new military technologies like long pikes and the phalanx formation. After Philip's assassination, Alexander continued his father's ambitions. When Alexander died in 323 BC, his generals divided the empire into 3 major dynasties. Though politically fragmented, these Hellenistic kingdoms shared a rich culture by trading exotic goods and supporting grand libraries and universities. The Hellenistic Age officially ended in 31 BC when Rome took control. Number 12. The Babylonian Civilization. Babylon's story begins after the fall of the 3rd dynasty of Ur, when the Amorites took over and founded the 1st dynasty of Babylon around 1894 BC. A key figure in this history is Hammurabi, who ruled from 1792 to 1750 BC. He reunified the region and turned Babylon into a powerhouse. But after Hammurabi, things got tricky for his successors as they faced rising threats from the Hittites and Kassites. Then came the Neo-Babylonian era, with Nabopolassar claiming the throne in 626 BC. His son, Nebuchadnezzar II, made a big impact and even captured Jerusalem. But in 539 BC, Babylon fell to Cyrus the Great. Even so, the spirit of rebellion lived on, with locals rising up against Persian rule for centuries. Number 13. Silla Dynasty. The Silla Kingdom was one of the longest-lasting dynasties in history, ruling much of the Korean peninsula from 57 BC to AD 935. Surprisingly, they didn't leave behind many burial sites for archaeologists to study, but one recent discovery shed some light on their lives. In 2013, researchers found the well-preserved bones of a woman in her late 30s near Gyeongju. Analyzing her bones revealed she was likely a vegetarian with a diet rich in rice, potatoes, or wheat. Interestingly, she also had an elongated skull. Silla was founded by King Bak Hyokgeos, who, according to legend, hatched from a mysterious egg in the forest and married a queen born from a dragon's rib. Over time, Silla became a centralized society with a wealthy aristocracy. While human remains are rare, archaeologists have uncovered beautiful artifacts like a gold and garnet dagger and jade jewelry. Many of these are displayed at the Gyeongju National Museum in South Korea. Number 14. Carthaginian Empire. The most vivid evidence of Carthaginian imperialism is found in Sicily. Here, they engaged in almost constant warfare with the Greeks. Carthaginian towns frequently clashed with the Numidians, but details about these conflicts are rare, much like those regarding the Iberian War. Important events include their support for Phoenician towns in the mid-6th century, defeats by Greek leaders like Gelon and Timoleon, and the involvement of Pyrrhus of Epirus in 278 BCE. His victories were short-lived, as the Greeks wouldn't support him further. He famously predicted that Sicily would become the battleground for the Carthaginians and Romans, a prophecy that proved true. Number 15. Ancient and early imperial China. Doing things on a grand scale has always been the norm in China. Like many great civilizations, it began with small Neolithic villages built across a wide landscape. From these simple beginnings, strong dynasties grew along the Yellow River in the north. Ancient Chinese culture was truly innovative. It was here that silk was first made and paper was invented. Smart inventors created the first maritime compass, the printing press, and even gunpowder. The Chinese also became experts in making porcelain 1,000 years before European craftsmen learned how to do it. However, internal problems led to their decline. Fights for power and wars among leaders caused the Shang dynasty to fall in 1046 BC. This was the end of a golden age for Chinese culture. We've been learning this since kindergarten. United, we stand. Divided, we fall. Am I right, guys? Despite this setback, China still remains the world's longest-lasting civilization. Number 16. Moche Civilization. The Moche civilization thrived along Peru's northern coast and valleys from 1 CE to 800 CE, particularly in the Chicama and Trujillo valleys. Their territory spanned from the Huame Valley to the Piura Valley, extending to the Chincha Islands.
Many of these are brightly colored and show people, deities, and abstract patterns.
The Moche spoke two related languages, Muchik and Quingan. At the same time as the Nazca civilization, the Moche gained wealth and power by conquering others. They left behind a stunning legacy of realistic murals, ceramics, and metalwork that are considered some of the best in the Americas. Number 17. Skara Brae. In the winter of 1850, a severe storm hit Scotland, which uncovered the remains of a Neolithic village. This site became known as Skara Brae. It comprises 10 stone houses with flagstone walls featuring hearths, beds, and cupboards.
The hearth here originally had a flue, and the building was not built into the midden like the other houses.
Each house had a primitive sewer system with toilets and drains flushing waste to the ocean. Occupied from around 3180 BC to 2500 BC, it is Europe's most intact Neolithic village. But why was it abandoned? Recent studies propose a gradual relocation to more fertile lands for independent farming. The real reason still remains a mystery. Number 18. Mughals. The Mughal Empire was founded by Babur in 1526 after he defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the First Battle of Panipat. It controlled parts of Afghanistan, Balochistan, and most of the Indian subcontinent until 1857. Known as a gunpowder empire, the Mughals blended Mongol culture with Islamic governance.
And only imported precious metals, war horses, and just a few spices.
Under Akbar the Great, the Mughal Empire thrived and reached its peak during Shah Jahan's rule. He is famous for commissioning the iconic Taj Mahal. However, after Aurangzeb's death in 1707, the empire declined. It was burdened by high taxes and a lavish lifestyle, leading to disinterest in governance. And as always, the British exploited this weakness and gained control through treaties. Number 19. Çatalhöyük. Turkey is home to the famous Stone Age city of Çatalhöyük. The builders honored their connection to a river by settling on the Konya Plain and spreading their city over 2 hills. Çatalhöyük is a prime example of an early urban civilization focused on agriculture. The homes were unique and tightly packed without windows or doors, and people entered through hatches on the roofs.
Feasibly, the city may have housed a maximum of 10,000 inhabitants at its zenith.
There were no grand monuments or special areas for the wealthy, which suggested a more equal society. The reason for Çatalhöyük's abandonment remains a mystery. Archaeologists think a class system may have developed, leading to social issues. Number 20. The Kukuteni Tripillion culture. Between about 5400 and 2700 BC, there was a society known as the Kukuteni Tripillion culture. They had a rich spiritual life and were skilled in various arts, like sculpting and pottery. At its peak, this vast culture covered around 350,000 square kilometers.
And the understanding of the past is key to find answers of which we seek.
And had some pretty unusual customs. One of the strangest practices was their habit of living in densely populated settlements that they would completely burn down or abandon every 60 to 80 years, only to rebuild anew. Some think this might have been a way to honor their dead, almost like a mass cremation. It's a mystery that leaves us wondering what really happened to them. Number 21. Anjikuni tribe. In 1930, Canadian fur trapper Joe LaBelle stumbled upon a deserted Inuit village near Anjikuni Lake. He found incomplete garments and food left over fire pits, but no signs of struggle. Tragically, 7 sled dogs starved, which was vital for the community's survival.
Eventually, LaBelle reportedly encountered 2 emaciated but still living husky dogs.
Even creepier, LaBelle discovered a recently disturbed grave, suggesting something unusual had happened. LaBelle reported this to the RCMP, but the villagers had vanished without a trace. Over time, stories grew more bizarre, with claims of UFO sightings and thousands missing. While some dismissed the tale as exaggerated, others speculated about extraterrestrial abductions. So, did an entire village really disappear, or was it all a tall tale? Number 22. The Ostrogoths. By the end of the 5th century, the Ostrogoths had established a strong kingdom in Italy. Theodoric of Amal, who ruled from 493 to 526, was the mastermind behind this kingdom. He had a knack for leadership and managed to keep both Goths and Romans happy for over 30 years. Pretty impressive. But, as is often the case with empires, things took a turn after his death. Not long later, Justinian I, the emperor of the Byzantine Empire, set his sights on Italy. He launched a campaign that ultimately wiped out the Ostrogothic kingdom and reclaimed the peninsula for his empire. It was a dramatic end to a short-lived but interesting chapter in Italian history. Number 23. Vikings. According to the Icelandic sagas, Eric the Red led a fleet of 25 boats to colonize Greenland around AD 985. These Vikings herded goats, sheep, and cattle, built stone churches that still stand today, and hunted caribou and seals for hundreds of years.
And here again, the Vikings showed they had a flair for salesmanship.
They managed to thrive, with their population reaching around 5,000. But by the time a missionary expedition arrived in 1721, they found only ruins. Archaeologists have since figured out that the settlement failed around AD 1400. There are different theories about what ultimately happened to the Vikings. Interestingly, the Vikings weren't the only ones to struggle in Greenland. At least 3 other societies, including the Dorset culture, also disappeared from the island. Number 24. Ancient Athens. Athens is one of the oldest cities on the earth and has been inhabited for about 7,200 years. The cultural achievements of Athens in the 5th century BC laid the groundwork for Western civilization. Despite periods of decline during the Middle Ages under Byzantine and Ottoman rule, Athens was revived during the Crusades through trade with Italy. In the 19th century, it regained prominence as the capital of independent Greece. Do you want to hear a fun fact about Athens? It's also the birthplace of democracy. Number 25. The Nabateans. The Nabateans have been around as early as 312 BC. This kingdom stretched across what is now Syria, Arabia, and Palestine, becoming quite significant in size. Over time, Nabatean writing evolved into what we recognize today as modern Arabic. They were smart traders. They established extensive trade routes and developed advanced technologies, including impressive water systems that helped them thrive in the harsh Arabian climate. The Nabateans built remarkable structures aligned with celestial bodies, which shows their engineering skills. By the end of their history, they had strong ties with the Roman Empire, but things changed when Emperor Trajan seized their kingdom around AD 105-106. We really don't hear much about the Nabateans after that era. Number 26. Inca civilization. From 1438 to 1532, the Inca people went from a small tribe to the biggest empire in pre-Columbian South America. Their rapid growth came from conquering weaker cultures. While they're famous for Machu Picchu, the Inca also had freeze-dried foods and a cool mail system. Messengers traveled along a network of sturdy roads.
Sometimes, people in these so-called hotspots were resettled in order to subdue them.
That still exists today, and they even built systems to bring fresh water to cities like Machu Picchu. But their drive to conquer led to trouble. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived, they brought diseases like influenza and smallpox that wiped out many Incas. Civil war broke out, and with their better weapons, the Spanish quickly took over, ending the Inca civilization. Number 27. Greco-Bactrian Kingdom. The Greco-Bactrian Kingdom was created around 250 BCE when a satrap named Diodotos rebelled against his Seleucid ruler, Antiochus II. Initially, Diodotos and his son expanded their territory, but a local ruler named Euthydemus eventually overthrew them and created his own dynasty. The kingdom thrived by taking advantage of the declining Mauryan Empire. However, internal rivalry, especially between the Euthydemed and Eucratid dynasties, weakened the kingdom. Eucratides, who came to power in 171 BCE, faced challenges from Indo-Greek kings and was ultimately murdered by his son in 145 BCE. By 130 BCE, the Yuezhi nomads overthrew the last Indo-Greek king, marking the kingdom's decline. Number 28. The Lost Colony of Roanoke. John White was tasked with overseeing over 100 English settlers who established themselves on Roanoke Island. White's mission was to sail back to England to procure much-needed supplies and return to ensure the success of their fledgling colony.
People who chose to come along on this ill-fated expedition were middle-class people from London.
However, upon his return to Roanoke in 1590, he found the settlement deserted. Except for a single clue, there was no sign of the settlers. It is widely believed that the settlers were either abducted, killed, or died while trying to sail back themselves. What are your thoughts on this? Number 29. The Nubian people, Nabta Playa. The ancient people of Nabta Playa lived in what's now southern Egypt between about 11,000 and 6,000 years ago. They were mostly nomadic, moving around as they followed the seasons. In this area, the climate was quite extreme. Sometimes it was lush and filled with water, and other times it turned completely dry. Over time, these folks settled down and created a civilization. Today, The area is mostly dry sand, but this dryness actually helped preserve some of their artifacts, like an interesting stone circle. This circle aligns with the stars in interesting ways and serves as a sacred place for animal sacrifices to the gods. Like the builders of Stonehenge, the Nabta Playa people eventually declined and disappeared. Number 30. The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was a powerful Islamic state that ruled over North Africa, Southeast Europe, and the Middle East from the late 13th to the early 20th centuries. Founded by Osman I, it reached its peak when Mehmed II conquered Constantinople in 1453, ending the Byzantine Empire. At its height, the empire was a melting pot of cultures, religions, and ethnicities, thanks to its millet system, which allowed non-Muslims to manage their own laws and religious practices. However, by the 19th century, it faced internal struggles and external pressures, earning the nickname Sick Man of Europe. The empire eventually collapsed after World War I, leading to the establishment of modern Turkey by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. And that's all for today, folks. How many of these civilizations have you heard of for the first time today? Comment down below and let us know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next video. Goodbye.